Meetup for Uchechukwu Obasi.
I've made it to. So, hi everyone. So before I start, I would want to use just a few seconds to acknowledge the organizers of this event. So, a round of applause for the organizers, please. And I also want to do just a very quick poll to get a sense of what my audience looks like. So how many of us here were at Oscar 2020, OSCAFEST 2020? Okay, how about Oscar 2022? Like if today is your first time. Awesome. So whether you came at Oscar 2020 or you are here today, I think definitely you would relate to this talk and you will have one or two things to learn from this talk. So who am I? My name is Uchechukwu Obasi, and I'll be talking today about my experience, how I leveraged on the Oscar Festival to advance my career. And yeah, I'm a full-time open source contributor. I'm a software engineer. I've had the opportunity to contribute to a wide range of different open source projects, including Thanos and Graphana. And the interesting thing is I get paid to work on open source full-time. And yeah. And I'm also like the co-organizer of Kubernetes Community Days Africa. We are the first people to, have a Kubernetes-centric or cloud-native-centric event in the entire Africa. And also, I happen to also be the first CNCF ambassador from, North African. Sorry, West Africa. Sorry. Yes, very important. West Africa. So what was life before Oscar 2020? I think it's really important for us to, when we tell stories like this, it's important for us to reflect back on where we started and, the process and where we are right now. So, dating back to 2020, 2019, I was, like a very junior developer. I was super interested in building my own agency. So basically, I was doing a lot of freelance web development. And at the time, I wanted to build my own agency because I knew what Nigeria looks like. I knew that, coming out of the university, there was no job. So I wanted to work hard enough to create my own company. And at the time, I had zero understanding of open source. I didn't even know what it was. I didn't know what it was called. I had little to no opportunity for career growth. All I was focused on was basically, to learn this thing and, to go to businesses and build websites for them. The interesting fact was, what I used to do then was, I would take my time, I would leave school or I would leave lectures and I would go to businesses, I would go to shops, one by one. I would be like, hey, I think it's time for you to go digital. Let me build a website for you. And you know what the deal is. Basically they will just laugh over it and tell you that you should come next day, and then you come the next day, and I'll tell you to come the next week. So basically, I felt like a local champion because I wasn't growing. I was working hard, but I wasn't seeing the effects, basically. And yes, when something like this happens, you tend to go through the route of SAPA-driven development. For people that don't really understand what SAPA means like hunger, So basically, you get motivated, via that route. And yeah, something happened. I went on Twitter. I think that was earlier January 2020. And I saw a tweet about Open Source Conference Africa. And at the time, I saw the amazing list of speakers that were coming. And, I took some time to reflect on my life. And I noticed that, man, I need to sit up. I've been broke for a long time now. So I went on my Google Keep and I was basically just pouring out my thoughts. I was pained. I was just so angered. Why would I be broke? I shouldn't be broke. I write code for Christ's sake. So I poured out all those thoughts on my Google Keep. And yeah, at the time, yes, I was so sad about it, but I was also willing to make efforts to changing my life. And yeah, like I said, I knew about the Oscar 2020, and I was determined to go for the conference. At the time, I can't even afford like my bus tickets, to the event. Like I checked my account, I had nothing. So what I even did self was I had to call my dad and my mom and try to explain, the reason why this event will change my life. And they would be like, Omo, this event you've been going for years now. Waiting all come out? So I was able to like convince them to an extent, and they were able to like just give me some little tokens to come for the event. And thanks to Oscar organizers as well, they also, I think they had support for people coming in from different states. So a round of applause for Oscar organizers. So yeah, this was me in Oscar Festival 2020. Yeah, you could see. Yes, I know. A lot has happened. Yes, a lot has actually happened. Normal. So a lot has happened. So I came to Oscar 2020. I was hungry for success. I was super focused on learning. I was super focused on, getting access to information that could change my life. I was so keen on like, jotting down every single thing that was mentioned at the talk. I wasn't really interested in like, like meeting people and all. I was just interested in like, basically absorbing the content and all of that. So I was highly motivated. I learned a lot about the open source. But the interesting thing was, I also felt, and I know for most of you, like you might have felt the same way. I was having this feeling of imposter syndrome. I was feeling like, I shouldn't be here. I mean, everyone is looking fresh, everyone is looking good, but look at me. I don't have money. These people might find out that I'm broke, you know? So I felt anonymous. Like, I felt nobody knew me. Like, I am nobody. Nobody knows me, So, and I saw how people were like, greeting each other. I was seeing the popular faces, of course, and they were like, they were greeting each other, and I was like, this person don't know me. Let me just stay my day. But at the same time, I didn't look at these things from a negative standpoint. So I actually relied on this as from a place of strength. So I looked at these things and I was like, I mean, come on, this is the process. You feel me? Like, this is the process. And, I should probably look over these things and know for sure that, I should try as much as possible to make friends, meet people, and go back and work on myself because, like I said, it's a process. So immediately, like, I started meeting people. I started, introducing myself. Yes, I'll meet someone and I'll tell them, hi, I'm so person. And now, I mean, I wasn't attached to any company, so I'll just end it there. I'll just tell you I'm a web developer. You get? So, but it didn't really stop me from like, meeting people and, getting to connect with them. So I made a lot of meaningful connections at Oscar 2020. And yeah, the interesting part, yeah, life after Oscar 2020. So I went back to home and I drew down some goals. So this is basically a screenshot. So basically, this is a screenshot of my goal for 2020. I call it Vision 2020. So like I went back. I was super, like I was motivated. My morale was on 100. I wanted to code, eat, sleep, repeat every single day. So I went on. I did it for quite a while, and because I had learned about the different mentorship programs in open source, I applied to Google Summer of Code. I applied to Outreachy, and guess what? I was rejected, but I didn't stop. I didn't stop. So I applied to the Linux Foundation mentorship, and fortunately enough, I got accepted. I'm the first African to participate in the Linux Foundation mentorship, by the way. So basically, this was my big break into open source. Like I got accepted, and I think the best part was the fact that I was going to be paid, like the amount of money that I've never seen in my life. I mean, I couldn't even believe in myself. But that was it. I got accepted, and I contributed to the Thanos project for 3 months plus. And yeah, immediately after I completed the project. I went on Twitter, and I tweeted about it. I was like, hey guys, this is my first major open source project, and it got merged today. Celebrate with me. And I was tagging my mentors at Thanos, and you can see the PR over there. And immediately after, I started job hunting, and because I'd learned about open source and different open source companies, I learned about this company called Graphana Labs. If you are into cloud and cloud native, you definitely know Graphana. So they are the company behind the popular open source tool called Graphana. So I applied to Graphana Labs. It happened to be the very first company that I applied to, and fortunately enough, I got in as a software engineer. So I was working on open source full time. I was getting paid. Paid good, yeah. I need to iterate on that. So yeah, other achievements as well. I also along the lines, because I'm so driven by the community, and I think the community has really done a lot for me. One of the ways I give back to the community is by speaking at conferences, helping organize conferences, and this was the case. I also had the opportunity to speak at KubeCon North America. So KubeCon is one of the largest developer conferences in the world. Developer conferences relating to cloud and cloud native. And I also co-organized KCD Africa, the first maiden cloud native event in Africa. Yeah, I think there was a slide that was meant to be here, but I think the last part was, I did well to secure the bag because it's very important. Yeah, so yeah, key takeaways. The story is interesting, it's inspiring, but I think it makes sense for us to tend to learn one or two things from this talk. And the first is try as much as possible to create connections. You don't really know who is sitting beside you. You don't know if the person sitting right beside you is going to change your life. So try as much as possible to meet people. Yeah. No, you don't really know. Try as much as possible to create connections. Create connections. And yeah, very important. Something very important you should also know is learn how to share openly. Learn how to share openly. It is very, very important. If I had not gone to Twitter to tweet about my experience contributing to Thanos, I might not have ended up where I am today. So try as much as possible to, share the things you know openly. Go on Twitter, go on, Reddit, talk about the things that you know. And if you can, do well to apply to different open source mentorship programs. I think the fastest way for anyone to grow in his or her career is to participate in open source mentorship programs. Because trust me, if I were to go through the traditional route of working for company to company, I don't think I would have grown to the level that I am today. So try as much as possible to find these different open source mentorship programs and apply to them. And very important, learn how to collaborate with others. Working as a software engineer doesn't stop at writing code. It involves a whole lot of collaboration, a whole lot of communication, a whole lot of, not just communication, communicating effectively. It involves a whole lot of things. So collaboration is very important. Learn how to collaborate with others. Join a community, very, very important. We are all here because of open source. And we have a lot of different communities in Nigeria. We have the HNG community. We have a lot. We have Oscar community. We have Ingressive. We have a lot of them. So join one, and please be kind to yourself. Be kind to people. Open source. When working in open source, know that you work with people, and try as much as possible to be kind to one another. And yes, reach out. Very important. Try as much as possible to reach out. If you have an issue that you need clarifications on, reach out to people, reach out to your mentors, reach out to people that you look up to. And the last but not the least, try as much as possible to pay it forward. For me, I think I'm still in the journey. I'm not there yet, but I try as much as possible to pay it forward. Even though, yes, I'm not there yet, but I try as much as possible to do the little that I can. And my final words. The expert in anything was once a beginner. and keep pushing, don't settle. Code is hard, but please don't give